Got a remote control.
Wow.
Yeah, so this morning I just wanted to tell you I've adjusted the throttle so the other heated grip is now working. So if you turn the bike on, it idles at the normal idle. So to do that, you just take this off and then there's a little screw. It's quite easy to do. But I took a picture of it, so I'll add that to the video. And then the other thing I wanted to do, somebody actually said, what's wrong with your exhaust? Because it makes the bike look not cared for. So he's probably referring to this area here and maybe this. So I do have the spare silencer, which after the crash was kindly donated to me.
But why has that happened?
That has happened because I put my trouser leg there with my touring suit, and it sort of melted onto it, and that stain has somehow affected the metal.
What about all the rest of it? Why is it all crappy colour?
That is probably because I, over the winter, put ACF 50 and then it burns onto the exhaust. So we'll try and clean this up, but really this crash damage silencer is going to be taken off and put on with a new one, because it's summer, we want the bike to be looking half decent, really.
Look bling bling.
Bling bling, yeah, bling bling. This is bent out of shape as well, so it's probably going to go in the bin.
How did that get bent out of shape again?
What?
I remember there being some sort of tree trunk and another block of wood
Oh, it was bent out of shape by crashing it. It was bent back into shape
with some blocks.
using the blocks and all that mess, yeah, in Mallorca. So today, yeah, let's get this off and put a clean exhaust on and try and do our best to clean up the downpipe
Okay.
and see how we get on. So with this, you just take off the peg, and that then allows the silencer to come loose. But I'll leave the peg in just to support the weight whilst I do the front too. Just put that there.
Swap legs, aren't you? Kneeling, so you don't pull you back.
Yeah. What's this? This is a little Allen bolt here. Let's get that off. And then this. Loosen that clamp off. We should now be able to free off the damaged silencer. Come on.
It's coming.
It's coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So out with the old. Scrap man, yeah. Probably drill the baffle out for somebody. Take the collar off, and I'll clean that up before it goes back on. Right, this just shows that lambda sensors can, in a short space of time, get rusty, and you need to grease them. Right, so this is what the exhaust looks like now. I've cleaned the downpipe just to get it almost back to a metallic colour, not rust and stained. And then the new silencer's come on. And obviously this is pretty much a new spec silencer. No stains, no marks, no burns, no oil. Also, these mounts here, which are a little bit crash damaged, that's all fresh and how it should be. Same here. And you'll actually notice there's a little bit more space here between the silencer and the rear axle, because the silencer that I had before was slightly bent in. So this was always the plan really, to use the bike with the old battered silencer. When it came around to summer again, put something nice on and probably discard the old pipe because it's crash damaged. One thing we will do though is drill out the baffle of the old exhaust silencer, and then somebody might want that, might be useful to someone. Okay, so now it's possible to remove the baffle that comes with the standard exhaust silencer. So if anybody wants this, then let me know, because I'll post it to you for just the postage cost if you like. Yeah, the actual exhaust is going in the bin, but that's free to a good home essentially. Right, yesterday when I was taking the lambda sensor out, I ended up going a little bit too heavy-handed, and I stripped the aluminium thread off the actual sensor itself. So this now doesn't go into the exhaust header because these threads are mangled. So my idea is just to take away the remainder of the threads, drop the sensor in and just attach it in some other way so that it can be a working bike until I can get another replacement sensor, which might be a long time, or BSA back orders. So I'll just file down these threads. Right, so it's in. Just need to find some way to keep it there. Right, so it turns out I didn't actually need to try and fiddle with the sensor, because I ordered a BSA sensor and 48 hours later it was dropped through my letterbox. Now, it was extremely expensive for a sensor, but to be fair, it's in stock and they had it, so I've got one. So what we're going to do now is basically fit the new lambda sensor and basically put the bike back to stock. And you know, the bike will actually run with no lambda sensor. It just puts an EML light on and goes into a default fuel map. So as long as you physically block the hole, you can run without a sensor. And that's what I use, just a 10mm bolt with a washer to seal the hole. Now we'll just use our 13mm. Whenever you do this, make sure you don't let the little clamping system fall down into the bike, because it'll actually get stuck between the engine mount and it'll be quite hard to recover it. You'll have to use a little Allen key or something to try and get it. And I don't mean just the bolts, I mean the actual whole clamp itself. Nuts, sorry. So there you go, get the nuts out, put those safely down. Let's do this at the bottom. Again, 13mm. Should, there you go, be able to rotate that out now. So I'm going to come and move the camera because we're going to do some work on the hole, the mount there. Right, so I've exposed the mounting lug for the lambda sensor. So I've got this little thread cutter specifically for lambda sensors, and at the end there it's got a hex head, which is I think 19mm. And you can actually fit the socket, half-inch socket into it as well. But I'm just going to spray this lightly with WD-40. I'll just do that off camera, so don't spray it over the thing. And then a little touch in there. And let's see if this will go in there and just clean the thread up a little bit. Because it starts to go in and then it gets stuck. So obviously I don't want to mess this up and cut the thread the wrong way. 18... It's 19 in. But hopefully, that's undo. Just gently cut the threads, clean it up, and that way the lambda should go in. Now it's not too much resistance, especially with the WD-40. See what the threads look like. I always like to do things finger tight to start with. Right, okay, so now should just be able to bring it out again, and that's the threads cut. Sensor should go on. Okay, so here's my new sensor. Let's just see if it goes in the hole nicely. I think I'm going to just copper grease the sensor a little bit, just to hope that this doesn't happen again. Just carefully greasing the threads, nothing else. Good thing about having the downpipe taken off is you can go all the way around with the adjustable spanner. Is it going to come out cleanly? It feels like it's going to go in and out cleanly, so let's just do it up fairly tight, it's not too much. The trick with these collars is they've both got to go on flat. You can't have one closer to the head than the other, otherwise it gets jammed. So yeah, that should do it. And bear in mind they only go on one way because those mounting holes for the collar piece have to be in the right alignment. Okay, so collar nut goes back on. Some people run their bikes without the collar nut, but I actually like it. I think aesthetically it hides the little nasty mounting system in there. You'll need a 4mm Allen, and let me just try and do this without hiding the camera view. As with everything, don't do them all up tight until they're all in position to allow you a bit of flexibility. Right, a couple of points on screwing the collar nut. If this doesn't go on, or these holes don't seem to line up, it's probably because your downpipe isn't mating correctly against the head. So you'll have to remove this, rejig the downpipe, just make sure those bolts are done up flush and there's an equal amount of the stud showing on each nut. And then you know that the downpipe is flush against the seal. When you do these up, if you don't do them tight enough and you're running the bike, because of the vibration, they'll loosen, they'll fall out over time and you'll have a loose collar nut. What you want to do is do them up quite tightly, as hard as you can do really with your fingers, because don't forget they don't go into the aluminium of the head, they go into the steel locking assembly. So you can afford to torque these, not like with a socket, but just do them up quite tight as far as finger tight goes. Sorry, my head's in the way now. Especially that little one at the back there, which is the hardest to see. Don't neglect that one. Right, now we just need to finish plugging in the sensor, which is that way round. Got a nice watertight fit. And then we've got a cable tie, which locates that up there somewhere. That's then hiding the lambda sensor up out of the way. Just cut that off. Right, that's the lambda replaced at great expense because of my mistake. And the exhaust refurb is kind of finished. There is one also thing which I'm going to show you, and that is the Poulson Creative Customs Decat Blanking Kit, which you can see fitted here. But I'll show you the fitting procedure in the next segment. Right, so the final thing is the Poulson Creative Customs Decat Blanking Plate Kit. Now, if you've got a Decat, you'll see that it runs in a slightly different angle to the standard pipe, whereas the standard pipe will come out and go into a cat. So the fact that it comes out so wide covers this frame gap, and you're left with quite an unsightly gap there, which looks like it's not meant to be like that. So what they've issued as a kit is a series of steel plates that basically sit in there and make it look like the bike and the engine and the mechanicals actually fill this gap. It's just an optical illusion, really. So to fit the kit, you first need to, well, obviously it's a decat blanking kit, so your cat, which would have gone in like that, you want to remove your cat, and you can see there's some mounting points here with the cat that are vibration dampened. They have vibration dampened counterparts on the bike, and there's little rubber washers and steel spacers and things in here. So remove the cat and obviously replace the exhaust with the decat item. And now you're left with the blanking plate kit. The first thing to do is to take off the stock sump guard, which is 4 Allen bolts, 5mm head, and just put that to one side. The one you get from the kit is the same, it's just there's a couple of holes drilled in it. So if you look at this, it's identical. Let's turn them the right way around. It's actually identical apart from there's 2 holes drilled there. So they used to sell the kit saying that you used your own sump guard, but to get people to drill the holes and line them up correctly was just a little bit too awkward. So now they provide it with the holes pre-drilled. Interestingly, because I've used this kit, I'm just fitting it to show you. Mine's actually been used as intended, like there's bumps and bashes and bits and bobs in the guard. So when this one gets too battered, I'll probably just swap and just drill the holes in the same place using my original guard that isn't as badly damaged. But that's what they're for. So the first thing is the kit actually gives you some instructions, but like all these kits, you get this horrible little printed at kind of 10 pixels per square inch, very poor quality pictures. It's really hard to make out what's going on. So I'll show you what you do on the video, because hopefully at 4K it should be a lot easier to see what we're doing. Now, the confusing thing about the kit is they only provide you with 2 fixings, which are these 2 Allen head bolts here and the nuts. The nuts are 10mm, and it's a 5mm head Allen, and they're about 12mm long. The rest of the fixings you take from the existing setup. So I'll show you what you need to remove from the bike. So at the front here, you've got a long 20mm or so hex head bolt, and the head is about 12mm. Well, it's a 12mm socket. So that's at the front there. So bear in mind that you need that bolt. The other thing you need to remove is there's 2 also 12mm bolts, and this little mount here, and it has a little rubber washer inside that hole there from factory, and that mounts on the inside of the frame there, and it holds the cat. I would take that out, remove the rubber and put that to one side, and take one of these 12mm bolts and put it to one side, because you're going to need that. The rest of it, just put into storage. If you ever want to put the bike back to stock, you can. So the first thing you install is the blanking plate for the right hand side of the bike, and it's installed using firstly a single 12mm bolt, which you've taken off that mount from the stock bike, and it's basically put through there, and it just sits in. Just slot it in there. So let's just grease this bolt, because it's everything on the underside of the bike. You really want to copper grease, because it's going to be getting wet and muck and everything. So in years to come, if you keep the bike, just dab everything in copper grease, and if you ever want to do it, it's not going to be welded in there with rust. Right, I'm going to move the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Right, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So thank you to Trevor for sending me this kit. I actually bought it off a member on the forum. So right hand side goes in first, and you just sort of wrangle it in here, making sure that 12mm 20mm long bolt is removed first. Put that to the side, and then it's got little cutouts for where it's meant to be, so you can kind of see where it goes. And then I'll try and do this where you can see it, but it is hard.
Try and get that lined up, and then through the hole. I'm doing this like awkwardly, so hopefully, but for the purpose of the camera, yeah, I'm in. And then that one's loosely in. Now the next one, you're going to combine with the rubber washer. So the washer was originally located here. We're now going to move it so it sits in between. It sits in between the plate, like that. The plate and the mount. They're going to go. It does take sometimes a bit of like jangling to get all this in place. Not actually that easy to fit as it looks, is it? Right, I think I'm in position. Hold on. Okay, so first bolt's in. Now we'll just put this rubber washer in between the plate. Second bolt. I'm getting them finger tight, and then of course start with the socket. And then this side. Hopefully you can see it there. And that's your right hand side plate installed. So remember with this one, the 20mm bolt, don't go hell for leather on the socket because you're going to crush your rubber spacer into oblivion, which you don't really want to do. Right, much better angle because you can now see this bolt here, which we used to install right hand side, and under here is the other bolt, left hand side and right hand side. So it's just two 12mm head bolts to get that in place. Next it's the old sump bash plate. So you're just going to line that up as you would normally, and then pop these little Allens in. I'll see if I can do this without looking. Going in the other side. Just oh, there you go. I didn't think I'd be able to do that without seeing it, so I could keep the main view for you guys in the camera. And then last one. Right, do those up quite tight because obviously you don't want it to vibrate loose. And then the final thing is the left hand side kit blanking plate. Okay, so everything else is installed. You just need to manipulate this kit up into there. So you see this little flange here, that has to sit down like that on the bash plate. So it goes in like that. And then try and get it upright. However you can. Okay, just seems to slot into place eventually. Now you've got the bolts that are actually supplied by the kit. And so I would probably install them, the head side drops through, and so that way if it comes loose, at least you'll only lose the nuts. You won't lose the actual bolt, whereas if you put them that way and it comes loose, well, that's just going to drop out the bottom. So let me just change position. Right, so they actually go with the bolt going up, which isn't the way I would have designed it, but that's the only way they fit. So if you go up there, make sure that goes through, and then get the 10mm nut on top. I'd probably do the closest one to you first. Just do it up so it's at least finger tight. Now repeat the process with the second hole, which is further away from you and more hidden. You might have to jiggle the plate a little bit. There you go, and it'll eventually find the hole. Second nut on top. Now what you need to do, get your 10mm ring spanner just to locate the nut, and then you just want to spin this this Allen around to slowly tighten it. That's one, and then the other one you might not even be able to see, so just try and get it on with your fingers. Okay, and then yeah, get the hex bolt in there. Right, so you should be able to see that the two bolts which come up from underneath are now in position, and there's enough threads showing through, so they're tight. Right, that's the Decat blanking kit installed. So yeah, it's quite substantial, quite robust, and obviously improves the look of the downpipe. Downpipe itself actually discolours quite quickly, but I think with a little bit of wire wool and WD-40 you could probably maintain that, give it the silver finish. And then the new silencer, there's a bit of a bug on it there, but obviously it's a lot cleaner and it's not crash damaged, so the whole bike is looking a lot smarter as far as the exhaust and the blanking kit. Alright guys, thanks a lot, and I'll catch you in the next one.